Uh,
This should be this. Now we've got sound on me. Okay. All right. Let's try that again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Just Kitten Around from Cuteavalanche. We've been saving cats for 6 years and saved over 160 cats and kittens, specializing in kittens under 8 weeks old, as we've seen a need for that in the Los Angeles area to clear the shelters to make room for other cats who don't have special needs. And we decided, hey, let's start a podcast. We stream live on youtube.com/cuteavalanche around once a month, and you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Today's guest is writer, comedian, and founder of the largest Los Angeles-based cat group on Facebook, the Los Angeles Underground Cat Network. Today, we're just kidding around with Joey Clift. Hey, Joey,
yeah.
again.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm back. Technical difficulties made it, so this is the second time we're doing this, but it's fine.
So sorry about that. And for anyone
So
who missed everything, go on.
I have to ask you. You said that you've adopted and helped about 600 cats. Okay, what's your
160.
favorite? 106. Okay. Okay, so what's your favorite cat? Do you have a favorite of those 160?
There's a handful. We recently had two cats that we were like, man, if we did not have cats of our own, it would have been one of these cats we would adopt right now. And one was Willie, who was a one-eyed cat named after the one-eyed pirate from Goonies. And he was just awesome. He was like a snowshoe. And he'd had this whole thing where we got him from the shelter, and he had this eye infection. And they're like, probably going to need to take the eye out. And we were treating it, and it looked like it was getting better. And we were like, this is going to be that success story of like, we saved the eye. But it actually did not end up happening. And it started like taking a turn for the worse after it initially healed, because it had ruptured like behind it. But he was just a super great cat, super sweet. All of our viewers on the stream know him. And then the other cat was actually in the room at the same time. We had a litter of three that was Nacho, Queso, and Beans. And Beans was this little fluffy tortie, and she was just the sweetest cat we've probably ever had. So, yeah, it would have been one of them. Though I think my daughters definitely were on Team Beans. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like for me, my favorite types of cat names are food names. It's just like so cute to have a cat that's named like pizza or something.
Right. This has actually been a point of contention because my wife and I, obviously we're doing the stream, so we're trying to name the cats something that we have not used before to keep
Right.
it, unique. But B, we want something that's, fun and if not clever or topical. So we tend to migrate toward film and TV casts and names and things like that. But she's a big fan of the food names, and I'm fine with it if it's like a solo cat. Like we have had a cat named Dumpling, a cat named Pickle, and they were just the only cat we had at that time, and it was like, great. But once you have four or more cats with these very like gender fluid names, I can't remember who is what because I need that
Right.
cue of like, that one's the boy, that one is named Ron or whatever it is. It's just one
No, I
more
guess you're right.
thing.
If it's
Yeah.
just like pickle, hot dog, nacho, get
My
in
God.
here.
We had cats that were all like autumn themed. We've had some that were berry themed, and there was like six in that litter, and I was just like, they're all berries. Like,
Yeah, it's like
I can't
strawberry,
even picture a
blueberry,
huckleberry.
raspberry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I have no connection to make on this.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
like,
yeah,
why is this one blueberry and not
right,
strawberry?
right. Yeah, it's really hard to like go. It's orange and white. That's strawberry.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, this is take 2 of this podcast, unfortunately. So we're gonna pretend we've never asked these questions before. But yeah, Joey created um, what we believe to be the largest Facebook group dedicated to cats on Facebook. I said Facebook twice. Um, can you once again give the origin story of the LA Underground Cat Network?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and for the record, like there are definitely bigger Facebook groups that are cat focused. Like there's even bigger SoCal cat Facebook groups that are cat focused.
Yeah.
But I think this is the biggest Los Angeles focused one. So
Yeah.
yeah, everybody give me my flowers. That's a trophy that I'm gonna expect in the mail. So the origins of the LA Underground Cat Network are I would say pretty boring in that no, I'm not going to say that boring. It's an epic adventure. So I created the group maybe about 10 years ago, probably around like 2014, 2015. And at the time, there were a bunch of Facebook groups created by comedians kind of that followed the basic rhythm of like the LA Underground blank network. So there was like the LA Underground football network, the LA Underground dog network, etc. And the original one was a Facebook group called the LA Underground Comedy Network that was basically created just as a place for comedians to kind of promote their shows, as well as let people know if they had like an extra ticket to a show that they were going to or something like that. So I, being a comedian who loves cats, just started posting a ton of cat pictures in that Facebook group to the point that somebody was like, you should just create an LA Underground Cat Network if you're going to do this. And then I was like, I will. And so I created that Facebook group. And something that's like good to know about these groups is that like most of these offshot groups had maybe, like 1 to 2 dozen members. They weren't usually big. They were usually pretty niche. So I created this Facebook group, like not really expecting anything out of it other than just like, it's an idea that made me laugh while I was like sitting at my desk at like a comedy website I was working at in 2014 or whatever. And when I created it, it like immediately blew up. So we probably had within our first like couple days, like around 1,000 members.
Wow.
And people weren't just like joining this group as like a laugh. People were like so excited that they had like a place that they could just post as many pictures of their cat as they want, and a place they could like look at other people's cats and stuff like that. And like that's something that I learned really quickly in the creation of the group, in that I feel like cat people, like there's this feeling as a cat person that you want to post pictures of your cats every second of the day because your cat's adorable and you love your cat. But there's also this feeling of, oh, I don't want my feed to be entirely pictures of my cat because then I'll be labeled as like a crazy cat person or whatever that means, So, I learned very quickly that this group facilitated a really great need for people, in that comedians wanted to post as many pictures of their cats as they wanted to, but didn't want to be judged for doing that. And, through that, it built this like really kind of beautiful and cool community. It's like I still have it where I've written on a lot of big TV shows, and I've done a lot of cool high profile stuff as a comedian. But like whenever I'm at like random comedy parties in Los Angeles, people don't want to talk to me about like that I wrote on a Looney Tunes reboot or whatever. People will walk up to me and say like, "Are you the LA Underground Cat Network guy?" And then I'd be like, "Yes," and they'd be like, "Here's my cat. His name's Buttons," or whatever. And I'm just like, "Hell yeah, this rocks!"
That's awesome.
Yeah, it created this really beautiful like community of people to like share their love for like their animal, as well as like other animals of their friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's gotten to over 16,000 followers at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got around 16,000 followers, and something that I should definitely say that is not something that I really expected is that when you create a Facebook group that is popular and has a lot of members, drama starts immediately. So the LA Underground Cat Network has around 16,000 members, but then I had to create a second LA Underground Cat Network just for cat rescue people, and then I had to create a third LA Underground Cat Network just for people who wanted to look at pictures of cats.
Right.
And part of the reason for that is like something that I didn't necessarily expect in creating the first LA Underground Cat Network is that it became this really cool community of comedians and people in LA to share pictures of their cats. But it also became like a really useful resource for cat rescue folks and people who were doing, TNR work and stuff like that. And, like basically it started kind of this push and pull of like cat rescue folks wanting the group to be, a little bit more useful for cat rescue people.
Sure.
And then people who just want to look at cute cat pictures, not wanting to see necessarily, a million cat adoption posts or something like that. So, as you do with anything else, you're like, okay, there's a civil war brewing. I gotta create a new group just for cat rescue people, and that'll hopefully satiate everybody. And then like the main group still had a lot of cat rescue stuff. So then I was like, okay, so now I'm creating a group just for cute cat pictures. So now there's 3 groups, and my life is I've lost control of my life, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. And this is all you do for the rest of your life is maintain groups. So
this is the fuzzy, adorable albatross around my neck. Yes.
Right. So with the main group, so where do you draw the line between what is acceptable on that main feed and what needs to be pushed over to the other group, the cat rescue group?
So I would say that there's not like, I didn't go to school to be like a moderator for cat Facebook groups. So all of this is kind of like gut feel. So, and it's gut feel, and it is like, like it's like herding cats in kind of a way, because it's like, there's a lot of different, I would say, communities within the main group that want different things.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, it's kind of, seeing sort of what is my initial impression of seeing something mixed with like, what does it feel like the direction of the group is blowing? So, like allowing some cat like rescue posts, felt like a good idea, because, like people would like galvanize around them and say like, oh, this cat, we need to donate to this cat rescue so they can help the cats or something like that. Or, this cat, there's like a missing cat in this neighborhood, and we want to like, I'll help find it. Those all felt like things that were, positive, and people, it made people feel like good seeing them and good helping them. And then you get posts that are like, this cat's on death row and it's going to be euthanized in 20 minutes if nobody does anything to help it, or something like that. And, or like photos of cats with like, gruesome injuries or something like that. And it's sort of like, that was kind of the line of like, oh, this is something that somebody who loves cats and looks at this space as like a de-stressor would maybe get stressed out if scrolling through this space that's supposed to bring them joy, they see like, like a cat with a really bad infection or something like that,
Yeah.
And it's like, I totally understand why cat rescue people would think, oh, I'm posting this photo of this cat with this really bad infection so that hopefully somebody else who works at a cat rescue can see it and, give some sort of feedback as to like how to help the cat or something like that. But I also get why a comedian would be like, I just want to look at a cute kitten,
Right. I want to have my coffee and smile a little before the doldrum of the day takes me.
Yeah, totally. And it's something that like, it's a really like, it like, I kind of joke about it being a very weird, like a low priority thing of like moderating a cat Facebook group, but like something that like, this is a thing that people take really seriously. It's like, I get a lot of DMs from people who, will tell me that like, either they're part of a cat rescue and they are bummed out that they can't post kind of more pressing stuff in the group because it's like a useful resource for that. And then meanwhile, I'll get messages from, people that just, want to like open up Facebook on their phone when they're laying in bed and just see a cute thing before bed. And then they'll say like, oh, I saw like a wounded cat and I couldn't stop crying and I haven't slept in 3 hours, and it's like, oh, it's a hard life I live.
Right. Have you ever considered changing the name of the group to something like "This is for happy cats"?
I mean, that's why the third group exists. The third group is, I think, called the Eleanor and Cat Network, just happy and cute cats version or something.
Nice. I don't think I knew that one until this interview. I'm on the other two for sure.
Yeah.
How much time a day do you actually, or have you been putting into those?
I mean, I've so like when it first started, it became kind of a part-time job.
Yeah.
And then I think I've, fortunately, unfortunately, been kind of in the spot where my career is sort of like developed and things like that over the past, like decade of me running this page.
Right.
And, so I feel like I've had to sort of be a little bit more hands off than I'd like.
Mhm.
But like I think that I've gotten a lot of really good volunteers. Like folks like yourself who are
Yeah.
like helping moderate and admin the page, because like though I might not necessarily have like the time or headspace to put like the the amount of care that I would like love to put into this page that I had 10 years ago or something
Yeah.
like that. It still is like definitely something that like you mentioned, there's like 16,000 members in the main group, 17,000 in the rescue wing, and it's like I don't want it to just like die on the vine, because like it is like a useful thing for people, whether it's to look at cute cat pictures or to like get rescue advice or something.
Yeah. Have you ever done any kind of rescue or fostering of your own?
Oh no, I'm a big fraud.
Have you thought about it, or you're just not in a place where you can do something like that?
Yeah, so like my roommate is not a cat
Sure.
person, and I don't want to like force foster kittens on somebody who like doesn't love cats,
That is fair. Yeah.
So that was kind of what the group sort of became for me in the beginning, is like I love cats. I don't really have a cat of my own right now. I had cats growing up and all that, but the group kind of became this really beautiful way for me to kind of like experience pet ownership by proxy,
Sure.
because it's just like I'm seeing a million cute cat pictures of like my friends' cats, and then people will know that I run this group, and then they'll invite me like over to like they'll be like, oh, I'll make you dinner and you can play with my cat, or whatever.
Nice.
So it's like
Yeah.
it feels like it just wins all around.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of that with the 24/7 kitten cam, where it's like people who, for whatever reason, can't have their own cats and just have to live vicariously through the stream and the virtual, pet ownership, if you will.
Right.
And I think that's great that they have all these outlets these days. Um, but
When I've
speak,
I've
yeah.
I've well, I've volunteered for a few
Oh,
rescues. Like I've
cool.
like volunteered like Santa Dora a couple times,
Uh-huh.
and I used to do a lot of stuff at a theater called the Upright Citizens Brigade
Hmm.
Theater, which is
Which is
a
how
big
we,
comedy theater in LA.
which is
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we actually met.
yeah. Like that, like comedy
Yeah.
scene. I think we met like IO West. You were doing like a show at
Oh,
IO that
maybe.
I
Yeah.
stuff on. Yeah, and I for about a year like hosted a talk show where I interviewed celebrities about their cats. And part of that show was for every ticket sold, I would donate $1 to sort of like a local LA cat rescue.
Nice.
So, and then we would like, announce the cat rescue at the show, and then we would give free tickets to everybody who's volunteering for the rescue and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it's like, I try to help when I can. Like I feel like my girlfriend and I have gone to like every LA cat cafe, multiple times over the past several months.
Right.
So it's like, I'm definitely support and do what I can as a member of the community without actually fostering, because I'm just not in the space to do that right now.
Yeah. Speaking of the cat or the cat cafes, well, there's only like three, right? Is that right? Is
Yeah,
there
there's
another one?
Crumbs and Whiskers. There's the Cat Cafe
And
Lounge.
Tailtown.
Wait, where's Tailtown?
God, is that Burbank? I think it's Burbank. That one's relatively new, maybe 3 years old.
Okay, I'm gonna Google it.
Oh.
Tailtown Cat Cafe. Pasadena. Okay, yeah,
Oh, it
I've
is
heard that there's a
Pasadena. I
Pasadena one.
almost said
Yes.
Pasadena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, wait. Is it how is Tailtown?
Um,
Wait,
seeing it,
give me the tier listing of the three cat
can,
cafes in LA.
I honestly haven't been to the other two, so I
Really?
like yeah. Oh, that's kind of my dirty secret is I have not been to most of the LA cat cafes. I've been to a bunch in other places. Tailtown's fine. From what I've seen of Cat Cafe Lounge, that is like a 10 out of 10 as far as like the user experience. And then Tailtown, I mean, I don't want to talk dirty about them because they are affiliated with Kittenrescue, who we volunteer for. We've had cats. Actually, have we had cats there? I think we had cats there a while ago. Yeah, we definitely did.
Okay, so this
And
is.
it's
I don't want you to. You
it's
don't have to
not
throw anybody
as
into the.
it's not as glamorous. It's just kind of one long room, you know?
No, I get what you're talking about. It's like that's something that, like, ultimately, every cat cafe is a gym, just like how every cat is a gym.
Right,
But
right.
that aside, it's like the Crumbs and Whiskers to me is like it's like a storefront that they turn into a cat cafe.
Right.
So like similarly, it feels like it's just kind of one long room, and I think that they've like really and my one, not even, I don't even want to say criticism of Crumbs and Whiskers, but my kind of like thing that I've noticed is that it feels like Crumbs and Whiskers, up until fairly recently, was like a location that was primarily designed for with the customer in mind,
Hmm.
and there wasn't necessarily a lot of space for like the cats to do their cat stuff.
That feels about how I would describe Tailtown. Yeah, and
Yeah, and
and
it's not that the cats aren't happy
yeah,
or or whatever. It's just sort of, and I feel like they've Crumbs and Whiskers, they've definitely improved over the past couple of years, and they've built like shelves and stuff like that
yeah,
so cats can get high. But I feel like the first couple of years it was sort of like, oh yeah, this is like there's this is more for the people than the cats.
mhm,
Whereas you go to like the Cat Cafe Lounge, and I feel like it's flipped, where the Cat Cafe Lounge is like really like more for the cat's enjoyment than the customer, which I like love,
yeah,
because it's like there's a million like hidey holes for the cats.
hmm,
There's like it's like several rooms. It's
yeah,
like very much like Cat Cafe Lounge feels like, oh, these are like cat rescue people that made their dream cat cafe.
yeah,
Whereas Crumbs and Whiskers is like, oh, these are like business people that made a cat cafe. And
right,
not that like Crumbs and Whiskers is bad, or I'm sure Tailtown is probably also fine, but it's just sort
yeah.
of like you kind of just like clock it where it's just like, oh, it's like more, they had more like resources to make like the cat paradise in Cat Cafe Lounge.
Right, right, and yeah, to put it out there, when I did go to Tailtown, they had just opened, so it's been a few years. They may
Well,
have
yeah,
changed
fair.
dramatically, so who knows? But yeah, I mean, from what I've seen of Cat Cafe Lounge, that's a high bar to to compete with.
When I think the Cat Cafe Lounge too, like the benefit of it is that it's like Crumbs and Whiskers is on Melrose, and it's like it for sure was like, oh, this
Sure.
was this was a Starbucks before this,
Right. Right.
or whatever. This was like a hole in the wall like burger place or something before this.
Yeah.
Tailtown, I'm sure was probably a
It
similar
was.
thing.
I
We're like,
think it
oh yeah,
was a
this
kennel. I
yeah,
think
this was
that
like
was
a radio.
the
This
whole
was a Radio
thing.
Shack at some point or
Yeah.
something. Whereas the Cat Cafe Lounge, that's like it feels like it's like the top floor of this building on Sepulveda that's like hard to get to, and it feels like this used to be like a community college, and they just like got like the top floor of a community college.
Nice.
So it doesn't feel like, oh, this was originally a storefront that they turned into a cat cafe.
Right.
This was like classrooms that they turned into a cat cafe. So there's just more space to do instead of it just kind of being a long room.
Yeah. That's cool. That sounds
That
awesome.
said, they're all amazing. Everyone is great. I love them all equally, but maybe I love Cat Cafe Lounge a little more equally.
Yeah. And sadly, I don't have this prepared, but when we were getting ready for this show, you sent me a bunch of pictures of yourself and you and cats and things like that. And there was one picture clearly from Cat Cafe Lounge, and I reached out to you immediately and I was like, was this Cat Cafe Lounge? And there's 3 black cats in the picture. So we had a litter of cats, the Cats to the Future litter, which are all named after Back to the Future, with Mama
Yeah.
Lorraine and Marty and George and Doc. And Jennifer was the one non black cat. And it's hard to tell black cats in a picture apart, but I'm almost positive at least one, if not 2 of those cats were our fosters. I don't know if you can remember this detail, but did any of those black cats have like a crook in its tail, like a bent tail? Just the
Oh
very
yeah, one of
tip.
them did. Yeah, one of them
Yep.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was George.
Yeah, there was one of the cats, I think it was Doc or Marty. Like I was wearing glasses in the picture, and like I was like petting this kitten, and it like tried to climb my glasses, and
Yeah.
and like when it started doing that, I was just like, oh, I'm 3 seconds away from adopting this cat.
Well,
Um,
they are still available for adoption.
oh yeah.
Unfortunately, side
I mean,
note.
I was like, it was like, I mean, like, and that happens every time I go to a cat cafe. Is I'm
Sure.
like, there's one cat that like looks at me and meows, and I'm like, son, daughter,
He
like,
looked right at me.
yeah.
Do you have a cat type? Is there a particular breed or coat pattern that is like your thing?
No, I would say just like a cat that's like nice and chill. Um, I think that the older that I get, the more excited I am about like big chunky cats that sleep all the time.
Sure.
But I think that's just the Garfield of it all.
Right.
Um, but yeah, but like I would say just like, cats that are chill, cats that are nice, cats that like being pet.
Nice. And did you have cats growing up, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had growing up, we would feed strays, and then we definitely did that thing that happens with everybody who feeds a stray cat, in that like eventually it's just like, oh, it's cold outside. We should let that cat inside. Oh, I guess we should buy it a litter box. Oh, okay, I guess it's just our cat now. You know.
Nice. All right. Um, I'm trying to remember the things that we talked about prior to this second edition of this show because we had some technical issues earlier. You mentioned Garfield, and I had earlier asked you uh, basically what it is about Garfield that is so appealing compared to like Heathcliff.
I think that Garfield is like, you know, as a kid, Garfield was like probably one of my first comedic influences, just because it's like I feel like any kid, you just kind of are going to happen across a Garfield comic strip at some point, you know, and like so I definitely had a lot of like Garfield books when I was in like elementary school and stuff. And then I think the older that I get, the more that I've realized that like the genius of Jim Davis is that Garfield was like hyper synthesized to be relatable. So, he doesn't like Mondays. He loves eating carbs. He doesn't like dieting or exercise. He's a cat and cats are cute. And Heathcliff, I think, has a little bit more edge to him
Right.
in that Heathcliff was created to be a funny comic character, but not necessarily be a relatable comic character. Like how many of us have, taken a whole fish and put it in their mouths and then pulled it out, revealing just the skeleton?
Right.
I've only done that like three
It's
times.
a
Like,
it's a handful.
yeah,
It's a very special fish. You gotta
yeah,
practice. It's like tying a cherry stem into a knot.
yeah, for sure. I would be so impressed if I watched somebody do that.
A little
But
scared too.
yeah. But like, if you deboned a fish just with your teeth in
Yeah.
one pull. Yeah, so I think that I think that I appreciate Garfield for how relatable he is and how like long-standing he is as a comedy character.
Yeah.
I think Heathcliff for me, the I've appreciated like the original Heathcliff creator stopped producing Heathcliff comics a few years ago, and now there's a guy named Peter Gallagher who's been doing it for the past couple of years, and he's really leaned into like sort of the batshit craziness of Heathcliff in a way that's really fun. It's like if you look at like Heathcliff comic strips, it's like they're not even jokes. They're just like weird Dadaistic art at this point.
Right.
It's like you'll just have like, I don't know, like Heathcliff will be standing in front of a meat restaurant, like a restaurant that just has the word meat in the title, and then he's wearing a helmet that has the word meat on it. And then like there will be like the guy who owns the meat place will be leaning at the door and being like, I guess this cat really loves meat. And then it's like, that's not a joke. It's
And there's just
just
like a
like,
panel that says that's the joke.
yeah, pretty much. And they're all like one panel that just like don't, one panel of just kind of nonsense. And it's
Yeah.
like, because of that, like I really appreciate just the weirdness of Heathcliff now, especially as like a comedy writer where it's like there's no setup or punchline. This is just weird bullshit.
Yeah.
you
Did
know.
Did you ever see there was a Garfield book? God, I say this was like late 80s, early 90s called like Garfield 9 Lives, and it was by a
Yeah,
bunch
we're
of
yeah.
artists, and it was like some of those were pretty dark. But yeah.
Well, I think that that's something that like I really appreciate about Jim Davis is like I think that ultimately, like if you get down to it, Jim Davis is a comedy writer.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, yeah, he's like in his 70s. He's been doing the same, I hate Mondays jokes for 40 years. But it's like, I think that he's a guy that like, do you remember Garfield minus Garfield?
Oh yeah.
Like, he's somebody who saw that, understood completely why it was funny, and then reached out to the Garfield minus Garfield person so that if they and asked if they could release an official Garfield minus Garfield book that you could buy by pausing, and Jim Davis like wrote the foreword to it
That's awesome.
about like so it's like I think that he's a guy that like gets jokes. So like yeah, it's like I think that I just like respect Jim Davis as like a creative now that I'm a comedy writer early in my career or whatever.
Yeah. Um, if you could reboot one cat property as your own, what would it be? Garfield, or is there something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the dream situation would be Garfield, just because, like, Garfield would be such a fun character to play with because he's such a legacy character.
Yeah.
Like, it would be interesting to kind of like, like basically like, like put your work boots on and figure out, okay, how can I update Garfield and make him something that like is even more relatable to people in 2023. Yeah, I think that Garfield is probably the immediate easy first pick.
Right on. Cool. All right. I have a couple quick lightning round questions for you. Joey Cliff,
Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
who is your favorite Thundercat?
I'm gonna say Chitara.
Oh, that's a good one. I like Chitara. What is your favorite cat joke or meme?
Favorite cat joke or meme. So this is gonna be this isn't a meme, but it's a short cat video of it's like a cat sitting on a table, and then the cat like is looking up, and then it looks down, and somebody put a filter on it, so it looks like it's like 8-bit NES like snow sound effects, and they played like music from Ninja Gaiden over it, that old like NES video game. And then like I think that like the text on it is like, this cat's the main character, or like
Well, that's good. It leads into my next question, which is, what is your favorite cat video game?
Favorite cat video game. That's a tough. That's okay. So honestly, what are the good cat video games? I mean, there's Stray.
Stray, Cat Quest, and I'm sure there's others. Those are the only two I
I
think
would
of.
say that as a gamer, I am woefully uneducated on cat video games. I've not yet played Prey. I hear it's or Stray. I hear it's fantastic. Yeah, so I'm gonna pass on that question,
All right.
but I need to do that research.
All right. Fair enough. All right. And I would ask you for the LA Underground Cat Network URL, but there's no short thing to it. It's just like a big series. We'll throw it into the description of the YouTube video after the fact because we had to restart things. I'm pretty sure I had it in the first one. Any final thoughts or advice? So we didn't really mention this, but I have, and this was not the intention when I booked you on the show, but I am helping step into the admin role on that group with another person, Judd. Is that right? God, I hope I got his
Judd
name right.
Pratt. Yeah.
Judd. So any advice to us as we try and help fill your shoes?
So yeah, first, yeah, I think that we mentioned this in the earlier thing, and yeah, definitely thanks so much for the work that you and Judd and you and Judd have been doing adminning the group over the past couple of days, and all the moderators who've been working on the group. I mean, it's tough. It's like I've been running the group, like all these groups, for about 10 years, and it's like I want it to be a good resource for people, whether it's a cat rescue resource or a resource for people to look at cute pictures of their cats. And y'all stepping in has definitely been like a real lifesaver as far as just like bringing the group back to like being a nice, cool thing that people can appreciate and love. So I'd say advice for you is don't fuck it up.
So many dog pictures, my bad.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Don't turn it into like the LA Underground Lizard Network. People will like that.
Guys, Ferret Week's coming up.
Oh no. Yeah. I think it's like running a Facebook group is like running a little village where like everybody has their own different needs and stuff like that. And I think that it's ultimately like, as an empathetic person, you probably want to like please everybody, and like, but because there are so many different Venn diagrams of what the group is, of like what people want the group to be, at a certain point as like an admin, you kind of have to say like, oh no, this is what I want the group to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's tough, but like, I think that, I think it's important to like put your foot down sometimes if there's something that you don't want it to be, because like if you don't do that, the group will just devolve into the chaos that it's been for the past 2 or 3 years with me not checking it very often.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and I will see you over on the LA Underground Cat Network, and hopefully somewhere in real life sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this was super fun. Thanks for having me.
Actually, not to put you on the spot, but this is something we have talked about in the past. We're looking to do a few D&D one-shots. So before I let you go officially, if you were to make a cat-based D&D character, what would that character be?
Oh, I mean, I already have like a Tabaxi bard that I've been playing with a bunch of friends for a while. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I think the character's name is Jarfield, which is just
Nice.
Garfield because I'm lazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I feel like, look, if I'm playing D&D, I'm always going to be a Tabaxi. That's the cat race, of course. Why would I
Yes.
not?
That's fantastic. And I hope we can get you onto our one of our one-shots sometime soon. All right,
Yay.
Joey, thanks. Is there anywhere people can find you, not from the LA Underground Cat Network, just in
Oh,
social
yeah,
media
for
in
sure.
general?
Yeah, so everybody, follow the LA Underground Cat Network, also the LA Underground Cat Rescue Wing, and all the various offshoots of those groups. And then if you just want to follow me on social media, you can check me out on Twitter/X, Blue Sky, and TikTok. I hate that we have to do like Twitter and Twitter. It's
Just
Twitter. You
Twitter.
know what it
It's just
is.
Twitter.
Yeah, you know what it is. So you can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Joeytainment. And then you can follow me on Instagram and Threads at Joey Clift with like 5 or 6 eyes. The reason for that's a 12-year-old took Joey Clift with 1 eye, so I just had to deal.
We got to get him.
Yeah. I think I've tried to send. And now he's like 19, and I've tried to send him DMs that are just like, Can I buy your username? I'll give you $100," and he has not responded. Yeah, so you can follow me on those, and then you can check out my new Comedy Central digital series at gonenative.tv. That's all my stuff.
Cool. Thanks again for joining us. And thank you all for watching. We'll have information on the next episode and when it comes out coming up pretty soon. So follow Cuteavalanche on its socials on all of the places at Cuteavalanche. And until next time, peace me out. And